All right, Shalom. All right, so when I said in my previous video, well, first of all, let me start off with why I'm doing all this. A couple brothers, they keep, they told me, went up to the, went up on the stage on TikTok. Couple brother asked me, Exodus 4:22, what does it say? And I looked at it. I said, okay, 4:22. And it says, and thou shalt, I'm reading from the left, the ESV is on the right, and thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus saith Yahweh, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. So I said, wow, this is a little deep, a little deep. So immediately I wanted to get off the stage and go look this up and figure out everything I could about it. And then I started listening to a couple Torah brothers, Torah Tanakh brothers, and I started to see a certain pattern. Number one, every Christian that comes up on stage, they give about 6 scriptures, one of 6 scriptures. And I started to write down, I wrote down all those scriptures and I started to look at the scriptures, right? And this brings me to the point about Lamo. This is not the point of this video, but Lamo means them, their, and they in most instances in the scriptures, right? When I found that out, I said, why, if we're talking about he, the servant, why would it say Lamo in that one area? And I'm not looking at this like, oh, well, he implies the Messiah. I'm not looking at it, he implies Israel. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. So when I see Lamo means they, first of all, when I looked into the interlinear, interlinear Hebrew text, Lamo didn't exist. It said not available. I don't see that for a lot of definitions, so that raised a little bit of a red flag. Now, I'm in Isaiah, looking around, and I look at Isaiah. Let's go Isaiah 7:14. 14. Okay, and we go to, and therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Okay. Now, Emmanuel is mentioned in the New Testament as a fulfillment of that scripture. But I look at this word version. We've all been through this. There's Amma and there's Betula. Amma, let's look at the definition they use here. Amma is, once again, we do have a word that's not available. So I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but I'm saying it was kind of strange that it happened right there on our part. And then if you go into Bible Hub and you look up the interlinear text, Limo is found, and that's how I found the to, them, their, and they. All right, so we go to Amma. Amma, virgin, young woman of marriageable age, a maid, newly married. Now, this is the crazy part, not crazy, but, all of a sudden, my theory is becoming that there's a Christological viewpoint that is put in not only the translation, but a lot of the Hebrew definitions, almost like a barrier is put up so that we can't see the real story that's being told, and we're supposed to see another story. Now, I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. I'm not one of those people, I am, but not in this particular case. People will say the guy in the sewer at Daily Plaza was the pew pew person or whatever. And I will entertain it as far as I will go back and investigate, look at the Zaputer uh, film, see what I can see, and if I don't get a conclusion, then even though it would be interesting to believe that theory, I cannot vouch for that theory because there's no evidence, right? I'm looking at this and I see a box. And I don't see a box on a lot of the definitions. And this box says there is no instance where it can be proven that Alma designates a young woman who is not a virgin. The fact of her virginity is obvious in Genesis 24:43, where Alma is used of one who was being sought as a bride for Isaac. Okay, cool. So they're making a point to tell you, yes, it does mean young woman and maid and newly married, but we want to emphasize that it means virgin. Got you. Now, we look for another instance of virgin. Let's just look up maid. Let's keep going. Behold, Billa. Okay. Leah. Okay. Let's just keep going down. Okay. Exodus 22:16. Let's look at that. And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. Okay, so a maid in this situation is seen in the ESV as a virgin, but it says, or a girl of marriageable age. So that would assume that she's a virgin because people were a little more moral back then. If you were unmarried or have never been married, it was kind of implied that you would be a virgin. I get it. But why doesn't it use this definition? This is, where is it at? Okay, Betula is right here. And it is H13. Okay, no. H1330. All right, so it says past principle of an unused root, meaning to separate. Okay, and the outline biblical usage is virgin. It does say maid, maiden. It's maid used 7 times, maiden used 5 times. Virgin, it's used for 38. So there was a understanding from the translator that, at least the translator of the King James Version, that virgin was Betula. And Betula, so essentially, if you write it like a math equation, Betula equals virgin. The two little wavy approximate thing would be used for Alma, means virgin, because it can mean something else. So why wouldn't it use Betula? And like I said, we have heard these arguments time and time again. So let's just go to Daniel 9. Start at 24. And 7 weeks determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins and to make reconciliation for iniquity. Okay, is that it? We want to find Messiah. There it is, Messiah the Prince. Okay, so know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment, that's something we come back to restore and build Jerusalem unto thee, the Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 weeks. Now, that's in the KJV on my left-hand side. On my right-hand side, it says, know therefore and understand that from the going out of the word to restore and build Jerusalem to the coming of an anointed one, a prince. So basically, they got an understanding that it's more in line with the Hebrew in this ESV than they did in the KJV, because the Messiah is not there. And if we go down to the Messiah, which is right here, it just simply says Messiah. Over here, there's no ha. So there's no ha Mashiach. So that means that it does not mean the, but it does mean Messiah, which simply means anointed one. And we went through that with understanding that the anointed one mentioned over and over and over again is Cyrus. Okay, then we go down to the prince, right? And we look that up. The Messiah, the prince, which is right here. And it says, I think that's Nigad, which there's no ha in front of Nigad. And let's see what it says. It's Nigid.
Strong's H 5057.
Nagid. Okay.
Nagid.
So Nagid does not mean the prince, but the definition does mean prince, ruler, overseer, ruler, princely things, which we understand that also means Cyrus. All right. Now the question is, why did they capitalize the M and the P when it's not a person of Israel? It's not considered that he's important as far as he allowed the people to go back to Jerusalem, but he was not a king of Israel. He was not a leader of Israel. And it's lowercase over here in the ESV as anointed and prince, but it's capitalized here and here to give you this impression that this is somebody very important. And if you're reading this from a Christological standpoint, you're going to read Jesus into it, or Yahushua, Yeshua, or the like. So my understanding is that there has been a cover placed on the scriptures to give us this understanding that everything in the world leads back to Jesus. And everything in the Old Testament, the Torah and the Tanakh, is telling us about Jesus. And when we look at that a little bit deeper, we start to see that this cover was placed in meticulous and crafty ways in order to lead us to that idea. The water for listening.